Hello. How are you today on this beautiful Wednesday? I'm jumping in because I wanted to share with you exactly what's been happening in my world the last 24 hours. So I traditionally, like for my Elegant Edge business, I don't actually, I track the KPIs, but I don't actually, how do I say this? I don't let the KPIs actually affect my worthiness. I'm not linear or attached to, hello, beautiful Samantha. I'm not linear attached to my worth. My worth is not attached to my KPIs, right? The last 24 hours, something wild happened for me. So I started getting, I just know, for some reason, I don't handle the emails or anything like that within Elegant Edge. So Nick manages it, my manager. She manages all of that, right? She is incredible. She's phenomenal. She does all the things and she's freaking epic at it. Hello, Tony. Hello, Layla. Hello, beautiful souls. She is phenomenal at doing her thing. So she has and follows the system. However, I just felt this pull towards looking into the emails. So I kept looking into it and I kept seeing I kept seeing all of these emails where they were like, sorry, we can't afford you, or it's not within our budget, blah, blah, blah. And this blows my mind. It actually blows my mind because when they book, they're aware of the pricing, when they go to put, hello, beautiful, when they go to put through their inquiry form, they are literally looking at the pricing. So whatever's going on in their world, they're either at that point, they're probably price shopping. So my first thought is, oh, well, you don't value my service. You don't value my experience. You don't value my expertise. You basically aren't my client, right? But in the moments of doubt, when I have this thing that's coming up within me and I'm all of a sudden attaching my worthiness to my business, I then start to fall into this downward cycle because I'm then starting to think, oh, well, what is different about me? What do I actually offer that's different? Why would people come to me? Why would they pay that price? I'm a high-end experience. If they're not valuing me, then who does? Is there even somebody out there who is even valuing my service, right? Of course there is. That's why I have a business. That's why we're fully booked. There's absolutely people that are paying my services, paying my high-end experience, paying my prices. But for some fucking reason, in this moment, I couldn't get out of my head the fear, the doubt, the limiting beliefs that were coming up just because I had one client that day who said she didn't value our services. So normally, like I mentioned before, I separate me and my business. I'm not in alignment. My worthiness is not attached to my business, right? What blows my mind is in this 24 hours that have just gone, I literally couldn't get it out of my mind. I couldn't detach from my worthiness. So I started going through this mindset where I was no one values me. No one values Mel. Nobody values our experience. Nobody's going to pay our high-end luxury price. I only have 5,000 followers. Why would people pay that? I don't have the social proof. When you think about it, there's people that have got 100K followers and everything like that, like the content creators, right? So I'm sitting there thinking, why would somebody, all this doubt was coming up within me. And I'm well, it was when you are in that moment of fear or doubt, and then you almost start looking for proof that you're right. You're looking for proof to say that, yeah, you are absolutely right. Nobody will pay. Nobody will do this. Nobody does value. Literally, that's what you do. Let me know in the comments below if this is something that resonates for you. When you have a bride who comes to you or says, they'll ghost you. Say you have a bride that ghosts you. What does your mind think? In that moment, what is coming up for you? Is it fear? Do you question your worth? Do you question your value? Do you question your experience that you can offer your brides? Do you question if you're even marketing your level of experience to your social media? Are you questioning, let me know in the comments below what's actually coming up for you. Because what was coming up for me is that I then started to, hi Sky, hello beautiful. I then started to, I had someone block me today. Block you? Block you? What the hell, Tony? That is ridiculous. I can't believe people block people these days. When you gave her your prices. So absolutely, babe. What was coming up for you then? What was coming up for you? Because I feel that, to me, that sounds insane. We don't even want that type of client in our area, in our field anyway. Hello, beautiful. How are you, Sky? Yeah, you don't want that client in your field, right? Because if she's going to block you, like imagine the level of like complications that's going to come up when she's actually a client of yours. Like what she's going to block you when you don't have the trial availability. Do you know what I mean? Like there's only so much that follows from a client like that. And that's my point, right? So when we're in that moment of doubt and limiting beliefs and everything that we're looking for proof in our like failures, I actually started to analyze then like my booking conversions, and I was like, well, they're not good enough. They're not good enough. Why is my booking conversions low? They're not low. And they haven't changed. Like they haven't changed the entire year. They are literally the same. But my brain just started to go into overwhelm and start overthinking everything, and then start questioning my value, my worth, because of one client, because of this one day. I was having a shitty day, and my like all of my high vibes had just kind of like dwindled out a little bit. Do you know what I mean? So I wasn't in that place where I could pull myself back into line that's exactly what I thought too. I dodged a bullet. Absolutely, you dodged a bullet. That's my first thought. But when you're in that moment, did you have a moment before you had your awareness that came through and was like, you absolutely dodged a bullet? Was there a moment between getting that, like realizing she'd blocked you, and the awareness that you had? What was your thoughts between there? Because it's those thoughts that if you don't have the awareness to have, like to see that that's your limiting behavior playing out, or that's your self-sabotage, or that's your fears and your doubts that are playing out, if you don't have that awareness, it's so easy to fall back into like looking for proof that you are not good enough. And then what happens is that what's the energetics that you're putting out into the world when you are having, like internally, you believe that like people aren't going to pay. Well, you start then attracting the clients that are not going to service, like value your service, right? This is I had to bring this up with you ladies, because literally, so I want to share with you what happened after that. I have incredible awareness. I have the ability to stand out from a situation and kind of like zoom in on what's going on, like internally for me, externally, and the people that are involved. Like I almost tap into other people's energy and really figure out what's going on, if it's like a yes or a no, or what that energy feels like. Which I think is remarkable to have in a business, because it then enables me to like take a step back from clients, or like step in and build that relationship up, right? I always feel not good enough. So my prices are lower and some still want, Sky. Girl, yep. This is absolutely our industry, right? So this is exactly what I overcame, and that is exactly my mindset that I had. So I had people, I remember once offering my bridal services at $110 per person, and I had a bride who came back to me and actually asked me if that was hair and makeup services, and I was like, is this hair and makeup services? Are you kidding me? There's no way this is hair and makeup services. But the audacity that bride had, I was like, I had a moment of realization. I was like, well, you are absolutely not my bride. Like if you think that is just hair, if you think that's hair and makeup services, then no way are you my bride. But Sky, what I would ask is, there's a lot of inner work that has to be done to start to realize your worthiness around like why you charge the way you do, right? So this all comes down to the stages of business. So how long have you had your bridal business for, Sky? What I would say is that so you go through the startup phase, right? Where you're making up to about 5K, and then you move into like the 10K, and then you move into 20K, and then 30 and beyond. What happens when you're in the 5K, you're like in the startup. So you're all about brand awareness and building up that clientele, becoming, a fully booked wedding seasons, right? Then as you move into the next stage, you start to get to a point where you're like reaching up to 10K months, right? And this is where you're really focusing on building your expertise. So you are focused on becoming the go-to bridal hair and or makeup artist in your community. You're becoming the person whose expertise is like phenomenal. People look at your Instagram, your imagery, your reels, your content, everything, and they are obsessed with your work because you have created such a high-end experience, like expertise, right? So then what happens is as you start to build up your knowledge, you then obviously get to a point where you start to feel a little bit more confident in charging more, right? Because what you're doing is by investing in your education and your knowledge and your experience for your expertise, you then start to realize, oh, hang on, I am worthy of charging more. But what if you're already freaking epic and you don't even realize it? And so you continue to fall on this path of not actually charging what you are worth. And then you're like attracting all these people who are saying things like that, like you always, that your prices are that they're questioning your prices even though you're aware that they are low, right? So you're already at this expertise level, yet you don't have the inner work and inner value, the worthiness of that expertise level, which means that you're then attracting these brides who are questioning your worth, which is what? It's actually validating your doubts and your fears, right? So that's literally the conversation I had just before, where I had this one little moment of fear and doubt come up, and then I had, oh, would you look at that? I had a bride who emailed and just confirmed my fear and doubt. So then what happened? It then sent me into a spiral. So it's so incredible to have that awareness of what's actually going on with your internal emotions and your thought patterns. So therefore you're able to identify if this is actually the energy that you want to be putting out into the world. Let me just read your comment. Beautiful. So you've done makeup for many years and have just been starting to add hairstyling. It's a part of my diploma and I quite love it. The makeup salon I work at charges $260 for hair and makeup, and I've been doing, yeah, wow. So I think $150 is an incredible level to be at. I wouldn't say you're at all the highest, and I wouldn't say you're at the lowest at all. So the fact that is that for hair and makeup that you're offering $150, or is that just for hair or just makeup? Because if that's for hair and makeup, that is absolutely wildly insane. That is epic value. But if it's just for hair and makeup, oh my goodness, girl. Okay, so there's a lot of inner work that you need to be doing here, beautiful, because to be charging $150 for hair and makeup, there are makeup artists that charge in Perth $150 just for makeup. I charge $150 just for hair, and that's not even for the bride. I'm above that for the bride. My leading stylists charge $150 for hair. Where do you live? Are you, whereabouts? Did you say you're in Perth? Or am I imagining that? Whereabouts are you, beautiful? Let me know. New South Wales. Yeah, so without seeing your social media, I'll have to jump on your social media, but honestly, like there's so many. It's about building, like, remember how I was talking before about the different stages of business? So depending on where you're at, I have to look at your social media, because you have to look at like the authority that you're building, the brand awareness that you're building. So like what's actually making your brand stand out, and your imagery and your content will make a huge difference for brides that are looking at you. So if you're in, like, it is quite competitive in Perth as well. I don't think it's as competitive as Sydney, but I do think that to have the strategy of charging so minimal is only going to be attracting the brides that don't value it. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to, just send me a DM, beautiful. Let's have a little bit more of a chat, because makeup can be 80 in the Illawarra and I charge 100, and then the salon makes more money off me. Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. Makeup can be 80 in Illawarra. Yep. So do you work in the salon full time and then you charge yourself out to the salon at $100? I think what happens is when you do charge, I want to look at your social media because this will give me a good indication on where you're at in your business. But when you do charge a lower amount, you absolutely do attract the brides that question your value, and the price shoppers, right? People only buy a lower value service when they are only concerned about the price. This is something I'm so passionate about, and this is why I want to look at your social media, because I want to see exactly where you're positioning yourself in the market. Just when she needs me, right? Okay. Yeah. So the difference between a lower price and a higher price is that the bride in a higher price values experience and expertise and the value that she's actually, the brand experience, right? When you charge a lower price, you are actually attracting the bride that only cares about price. So she's the one who's going to then absolutely question every single thing about your charges. So you'll more than likely, like, I'd love to know, how many brides do you get that question your travel? How many brides do you get that question your lashes if they're included, and what other experiences are included within that? How many, like, your products and everything like that, if it includes like a lip touch-up clip kit or anything like that. Let me know. I absolutely would love to know, because it's proved my theory, right? But like, literally, how many brides do you get that literally question every single inclusion within your bridal package, your bridal hair and makeup packages? Because this is absolutely the type of client that you are attracting with the pricing strategy that you're using, like you're currently running. And I do think beautiful for you is honestly, it's going to be an inner work thing for you, because when we don't value our worth, we don't charge accordingly to our experience that we actually can create, right? So when we don't actually value it, Tony, I think this is actually something that we are going to be working on with you as well, beautiful, because I know this is something that comes up for you. And you both are not alone, because this is actually something that I had to work through as well. But when we don't value our worth, we don't value our experience and actually our expertise, think about all of the training that you've done, the education that you've done, the next level like care that you have for your brides. I can absolutely guarantee you that there is somebody else out there who has the balls to charge more and is charging more, and people are paying them for it despite their lack of experience. The difference between you and them is that they have the balls to charge it. And right now you have that doubt that's coming up, and it's actually that doubt is the fear of somebody not booking is actually greater than the vision that somebody would. Okay, I absolutely guarantee you this is exactly what's going on, because it's actually something that I did, and I tested the pricing strategies. And you know what the best part was? Is every time I tested my pricing increase, people paid. And the more people that paid, the more my inner worth actually became like, it blossomed, because the more people paid, the more evidence I had for people actually valuing me and my experience. Pricing strategy and like attracting the soul aligned bride for a client experience that's phenomenal is actually one of my absolute favorite things in the bridal business. I think we all know that by now. But I just wanted to, I think reach out to me in the DMs, beautiful, because I want to have a look at your social media. I think that will help me to give you a bit more clarity on like exactly your market as well. As well as your brand strategy, like what's going on with your brand and how you're portraying yourself and the level of imagery and everything like that. That will absolutely help me, because every different stage of business needs a different focus. And so jump onto my Facebook actually. In the last, last night's post or the 2 posts before, I actually spoke about this, and I actually went into a little bit into depth about the different core focuses for different stages of your business. And I think that will be epic for you. Bridal makeup comes with a touch-up kit. In-salon, her clients don't even ask the price. But when people contact me with the same price, I've had a client say people will travel. Okay, I love that. So I'm going to be brutally honest. When people say that to me, do you know what I do? I energetically say, cool. And then I move on. I actually don't allow myself to linger in that state of unworthiness for longer than 2 seconds, because honestly, that is one client, and how many people are out there? I want to share with you literally what happened. So as I was talking earlier in this conversation about the doubt that was coming up in my mind and everything that was like 24 hours of just like a shitty time, right? Pretty sure I'm getting my period in a week. So we all know what that's like, right? So we already get into that little moment where we're like, oh, I'm not good enough. This isn't working. I've had this proof now that somebody has literally said that I am not good enough, because they have literally just said that somebody else would travel, and that would include travel, and they would work for less money. Well, sassy Kailah here says, fuck off, but that's not the way we do business. And I want to share with you exactly how I would handle that, right? So for me, I would say I would obviously receive that comment, but then I would not actually take on board that client's comment. And the reason for that is because that client's comment is not actually your ideal client, because your ideal client would not even fucking say something like that. And I'm going to share with you something. So I never used to value my travel expenses. And so I think, Tony, if you're still here, this is something that we spoke about a couple of weeks ago, maybe last week. And this is actually something that this was the biggest lesson for me, the cost of travel and how much you're actually losing if you don't charge accordingly for the cost of travel, right? I, up until this point with this client, never ever valued my travel. And now my travel is equally the same cost as my bridal services, because I am losing money if I'm not working. And if I'm traveling for free, I've absolutely lost nearly $200 per hour. Okay, so if I'm traveling, I am absolutely charging a travel fee, a travel expense for my kilometers traveled, as well as travel time. So what happened for me is that I had a few people coming back and they were like, oh, that's expensive travel fee. And I knew that it wasn't. I knew that people were charging a flat rate of $150 to go out anyway, right? So knowing this and knowing that like I wasn't actually getting too attached to the outcome of that inquiry, I actually started to just push inquiries out with higher price tags, just being like, you know what? My goal is not actually to work next year, every day of the year. So that actually allowed me to detach from the outcome of the bride booking, right? So I no longer attached my worthiness to the bride's booking and confirming and the sales conversion going through. I actually just knew deep within that I didn't want to book in every weekend. So I was going to charge a higher price, and then I was going to leave it up to the fucking universe to allow the right brides to come through, because the right brides that came through would actually value my travel fees, and they would actually value my new fees, like my new services, right? So I did it. And I literally had a bride who accepted $1,500 just to drive down south for 6 hours, so a full day rate, plus her wedding day rate, more than that. I think it's like nearly $3,000 for me to travel down south, do her hair, and then travel back home. 1 night's accommodation, excluding that as well. She's already paid for the accommodation. So can you see here how the difference was between me valuing, like detaching from my worth, to not allowing somebody else's external validation to actually affect me and my worth? If I had allowed all of my previous clients who had previously said to me that travel fee is too expensive, I would have never in a million years, don't mind this kid, school holidays, never in a million years actually charge a full day rate of $1,500 to travel for 6 hours. Like, let me know, Sky, in the comments. How would you feel if you had to send out an invoice right now with $1,500 as travel fee to a client? What does that bring up for you? And Tony, if you're still here, what does that bring up for you as well? So when we put our validation and our worthiness external to us, and we actually like project it out, we actually allow, so my bride said yes, she booked in, and it all happened honestly like that. But imagine if she said no and I put my worthiness out onto her in that moment. How would that have made me feel? Like, how good do you feel right now? I don't think I could. We are absolutely going to be working on that, beautiful. I wouldn't send it. See? Look. See? Do you see how much this is holding you back? Because you have this fear that nobody's going to be buying, because you honestly believe deep down within you that you are not worthy of that, right? This is my biggest fucking, like, I actually get really angry, and also because I'm getting my period soon, I'm pretty sure it's bringing up a lot more anger for me right now. But literally, the fact that people are walking around that you have an incredible business and you're freaking incredible with your experience and your expertise, and the fact that you're a phenomenal bridal hair and makeup artist and you don't value your worthiness and you're not actually charging yourself out at a rate that you absolutely deserve, this makes me fucking angry. Because this is actually possible for you, beautiful. This is literally, okay, so the evolution of my business the last 4 years, that is what I've overcome. And now I am in a position where I do send it out, and you know what? I have guts. I'm in a position where I'm like, well, I'm no longer attached to whether or not you press accept on the proposal. I know I have full trust and surrender that if you don't book, it means that you're actually just made me available for the bride who's going to come through and value my service, pay my travel fees, and not even question it once. So this is literally the experience that I had in the last 24 hours, right? So as I was sharing with you just before about the reason why I was just randomly looking into my emails, and then I seen this one bride that was like questioning our experience, right? and that it was like out of her budget, whatever it was. And then I fell into that doubt, exactly the doubt that you guys are experiencing right now. I fell into that doubt and it started to take a hold. It started to take it, like, I was then looking for evidence to prove that, like, holy shit, this bride is right. We need to reduce our prices. Why the fuck have I charged this much? This is ridiculous. Literally, that was what was going through my mind. Do you know what I did instead? I literally detached. I actually went within. I had the awareness to, like, see that this was actually what's coming up for me. And then I knew that if I just looked for evidence to see that people were booking and that they were paying and that they absolutely aren't questioning my worth, my stylist's worth, our brand's worth, what did I find? That's exactly what I found. But imagine if you didn't have the awareness to actually look for that. So right now, you don't have that awareness, and right now you have that fear that nobody's going to book. Right now, you're too scared to even send out a proposal with the correct amount of, like, travel fee that you are actually worthy of. Right now, you are charging a rate that should be just for hair, just for makeup. You're charging a rate where you're offering hair and makeup services for the price of one. So what happened after I actually had that moment of awareness? I literally, in that same conversation that I was having with my mentor, because I shared with her, I was a bit more vulnerable with her about what was coming up, just because I needed a little kick up my butt to remind me that, like, hang on, this is all in your head, literally. My logic was going like this, right? My kid's distracting me. But in that same after I had that conversation with my mentor, I literally got off the phone and Nick, my beautiful Nick, literally was voice messaging me. She was like, you would not believe what's been happening, right? Today, I've sent out three inquiries at that point, and 2 had literally emailed back and paid their booking deposits and confirmation. The contract was signed and the confirmation was sent out within, like, honestly, I think it was 23 minutes. I think the first one was 13 minutes and the second one was like 23, under 30 minutes completely. The best part, do you know what actually happened? Hallelujah. This is my favorite part ever. The second bride that booked in was actually took the position of the original bride. I feel like this is actually, I'm just getting a moment right now because I'm realizing this is why it's happened to me, because I needed to share this with you. This is trust and surrender, right? The second bride that booked in last night was literally the bride who took over the booking from the previous bride that initially started this whole fucking saga of doubt. She had emailed saying we were too expensive, and I decided, is he half naked? He's absolutely half naked. We run a nudist camp at our house. So I literally, in that moment, had to remind myself that, holy shit, look what happens when you trust and surrender, right? I trusted and I surrendered that the bride that didn't value our service, I instantly knew there was no part of her that came back on me and was like, oh, nobody's ever going to book again. The only thing that came up for me was that, oh, she doesn't value my services. Does that mean other brides don't value my services? The other thing that came up for me was she's just made room for the bride, the solo line bride that loves us, loves me, loves my services to come through. And that's exactly what fucking happened. That is exactly what happened within 24 hours. So I wanted to jump on and share this with you because I think this is a phenomenal example of exactly the power that you hold when you value you value your expertise, and you value your client experience. But most importantly, you don't allow other people's external validations to actually take an effect on your worthiness. Okay? This is super important. This is something that, like, this is what I'll be supporting my clients through Expansion. So Tony, I absolutely will be supporting you with this one, beautiful. Because there is a lot of inner work that comes up. Inner work and working through your limiting beliefs, your doubts and your fears that come up through sales objections and through rejections from clients is absolutely equally as important as working through your systems, your strategy, and your business structures and all of that, right? So hello, Kylie, how are you? I kept seeing all these little love hearts coming up, so I got distracted. So thank you so much for joining me today, Kylie. Watch the replay. We got really in depth. As you can see, I've got my my passion rash on today. We were talking about value and not allowing our clients to externally validate our worth. and how we can actually do some inner work to identify and support us in charging our worth and charging our worthy, like the experience that we create within our business. All right, there's one more announcement that I have. Oh, if you haven't registered, we are doing the private masterclass on Monday, the 10th of October at 10 a.m. Western Standard Time. And so that will be, I'll leave the link to register there. Getting so many messages right now. I'll leave the link to register there. And lucky last, I wanted to ask, could you let me know in the comments below if you're active on LinkedIn, because I'm thinking about expanding my social media presence and I'd love to know, I'm thinking Pinterest is another goodie, but I wanted to know if you were actually active on LinkedIn and if it's a platform that you actually value, or if Pinterest is probably another place you hang out. Let me know. Thank you so much for joining me today, beautiful ladies. Sorry for my half naked human back there. I hope you take care. And Sky, reach out to me in the DMs, beautiful. I'd love to support you a little bit more on that one. Yeah, we'll help you through some inner work there, beautiful. All right, lovelies. Thank you so much for joining me. Big love to you.